Hi guys, today we are learning how to render a semi-realistic piece. I actually already made a similar tutorial 1 year ago, but my process changed a bunch, so I thought we should give it a go. The first thing you should do is select the reference you are using. Personally, I'm quite reliant on photo references, which is something I'm trying to work on for 2025. But for the purposes of this video, let's do a one-to-one drawing, as opposed to a mix and match as I usually do. Reference side note. When picking a reference, I always keep in mind two major points: the clarity of the pose and the visuals of the light. By clarity of pose, I mean how the person looks in the image. For example, I often find myself super excited to draw a group of people with killer colors and poses, only to realize that the people are posed rather strangely. When put on paper, it seems like a disregard to your characters. I'm not sure if that sentence made any sense, but I hope you understood what I mean. And by the light visuals, I mean how clear you can picture how you would light it. For example, I love drawing a Y2K flash lighting scenario because of the striking highlights. I think it gives my art a unique look. I have a board on Pinterest you can easily access. I'll link it on the description for you to analyze and pick from. In fact, I suggest for this exercise you pick something from that board. Now, with the process. Recently, I rarely do line art, so I thought it would be pertinent to explain my sketch as well. I start by loosely putting beige brushstrokes with the intention of adding color variety to the background, which is similar in concept to making the screen gray. But I feel with the brushstrokes it makes the blank canvas feel a lot less intimidating. Then I start sketching with a medium red, but you can sketch with black if you so desire. However, before the next step, I suggest changing it back to red because it blends well with the skin and most other colors. After the first loose layer, I go over it with a soft brush, blending it out together. This will lower the opacity as well as creating a color mist that will be important later. After that, you can start by tying up the sketch with a little bit of a darker tone. Go over your original lines with a line art of sorts, but it shouldn't be particularly clean, because then we're going to, with a soft brush, be adding shadows in the same color. This is my version of grayscale, but I think it looks a lot less muddy and allows you to pick colors more particularly. This will also help you render things that you're not particularly comfortable with. In my case, I'm kind of bad at clothes, specifically folds, and this helps me a lot because I can see things with more clarity on a light to dark scale. I also carve out the highlights with the eraser tool, which is why the color mist is important, as it adds a midtone. Also keep in mind you are yet to render, so only the points of focus needs to be 100% fleshed out. After that, you should start picking colors. I suggest having a placeholder background for this. For this picture, I didn't actually draw the background, as sometimes I do, but I photobashed it, which could be a tutorial of its own. Now, remember the saying, if everything is saturated, nothing is saturated, which honestly is not really a saying outside of the art community. You should also focus on a specific part of the color wheel, like warm colors or cool colors. Even if you're picking a blue, for example, in a warm scene, try picking the warmest shade of blue. When you're picking something from the opposite side of the color wheel, like on this illustration for example, I use it as contrast, not as random color. For example, you wouldn't want to put this bright pink on the background, unless it was like the entire background, because it would not contrast well and it would drive the viewer's attention to something that should not be on the viewer's attention. Now you're about 90% done with your piece, but that last 10% is what takes the most time. Finally, let's start actually rendering. The first step I take is making a group and duplicating it for safety, then merging all the layers. Then I start doing a highlight pass, exaggerating the image's contrast for style's sake. Then I follow by reapplying shadows using my original guidelines, using color variations. in this case a bit more gray-green than the original. I keep with the process for a while, switching sporadically between lights and darks, thinking of it as a sculpture of sorts. I smooth it out, then. I believe this is a good moment to talk about brushes. I personally do not recommend using fancy brushes as a beginner. I only used the default Procreate ones for most of my career. However, recently I've been really enjoying Kohl's pencil set, which I bought as a treat for myself. And I'll say it feels really good to draw with them, but if you want to only use the default brushes, this is what I recommend. With that said, let's get back to our usual routine. Now, I begin to do what I call a definition pass, where I use dark colors to properly define the shapes. This is why my art looks like it has line art, as opposed to the old version of this video, which my art didn't look like it had one, even though it did. I also use this pass to apply details I didn't think about before, like eyeshadow, jewelry, writing, and hair strings mostly. After that, I start fixing everything that looks wrong or under-rendered, basically polishing it up, flipping the canvas, and analyzing consistencies. For example, I was really bothered by the eyes and fixed them twice in this piece. Then I moved on to rendering the jeans and hands, which were really poorly done. I like to render the hands separately in one go. This is not particularly correct or incorrect, but it's to say you can do with your art however you please and in whatever order you feel like it. After that is all done, be careful to check your values in black and white and see if it reads. After that, you're basically done, but if you want to take an extra step and make your art look more interesting, try doing what I call After Effects, trademarked, well, by Photoshop. Copy your piece, add midtones, lower the opacity on the layer, merge, invert the values, hard mix it, and set it to saturation. Bam! A bunch of new colors. I also enjoy adding like noise to my pieces, usually also colorful noise, and then I color pick um, the pixels and make a lot of new details with those colors. I think it also helps with color variation. But besides that, you're done. I hope this tutorial was helpful and that you're going to be making a lot of better art in the future. I really hope you like this new editing style too. I tried my best to make it look more professional and polished. Have a great day. See you around. Bye.